Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. Now we have a what would Chrissy do question, and this one is from Marie, and she says, hi Chrissy, my dad walked out on the family over 10 years ago. He recently got in touch with us, but I don't really think I want to be around him. I'm getting married soon and have decided that I don't want him there. I know he's trying to make amends, but he treated us so badly. We're all trying to be civil to him, but I just don't and can't trust him. What would you do, Chrissy? Now, Marie, I think this is really, really personal, and obviously I don't know what went on. You haven't gone into details about, what happened in the past with your father, and I do understand your concerns because he's not been around, he's not been a dad to you for so long. You asked what I would do. I personally believe that people can change. And if I were in your situation, I would probably maybe just meet up with him and just see what he had to say, because you don't know. It's been a long time. You don't know what's happened in these 10 years, if he's changed. Anything could have happened. So I would at least give him the opportunity, if it was my dad, to sit down and have a talk. And then I think you'll be able to get a good sort of feeling for what he's really like or what's going on from there. But as I said, this is something very personal. You know what you've been through with him. But sort of having lost my dad recently, I would want to sort of think that, don't miss out on an opportunity if there is an opportunity there for amends. So that's what I would do. And I do wish you all the best with the situation with your dad. And if you have a question at home as well, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. But now we're going to go across to Jonathan Pfahl, who's our business expert on the show, with tips on how to improve your family savings. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. It's good to see you again.
You too. Now, I know you've been travelling, but you're back now.
Back in the UK, as always. Good to be home.
Okay, great. So you're going to be talking to us about family savings. And obviously, we had a lovely family before the break, and they were doing their businesses and stuff. What did you think about their story?
I thought it was a fantastic story, and it's so nice to see such a loving family where Pat and Sue obviously work together in the business, but have really given Nikki, their daughter, so much support and inspiration for her to go out and do what she wants to do, great, which really at the end of the day has been following in Dad's footsteps into the music and performance industry.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's cool. It's great. It's always great to see families like that, because it's not everyone in the UK, is it?
No, it's not, unfortunately. I wish it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
But tell us how we can improve family savings, because obviously money is a big pressure on a household.
It is.
If there's not enough of it, that is.
No, it can be, and obviously for a lot of families out there, it is. And I can speak as I always do, to speak as generally as possible to make sure that people can get some sort of, use one of the tips that are here, but also, talk about from personal experience as well. Mm-hmm. So within all families, we all feel that, mum and dad raising young children, there's always going to be large expenses, and the older they get, often until they leave the nest, the expenses do nothing but continue to increase. And I'm sure families out there listening to this might agree with that. Yeah. So you've got to have, the first point that I would give any family trying to save more is you've got to have a reason why. You've got to have a specific goal that you're trying to save for. Otherwise, the sacrifices that you have to make in order to get to that goal, if the why isn't big enough, it's too easy to just continue to spend.
You lose track as well, wouldn't you?
You do lose track, and you see families with the Excel spreadsheet, and they say we're dedicating this amount to groceries and this amount to social occasions and this is much for the school fees and etc. etc. But if the why isn't big enough, if there isn't enough motivation to cut down to achieve it, it will always be a struggle. So whether it's you're saving X amount every month or each year to have that one wonderful family holiday, or whether it's to have enough saved to provide the education for for the children once they leave school, or for their private school fees, it has to be personal, really, to the parents as to what they're doing it for, which will drive them forward to make the sacrifices.
Okay, yeah.
And the second point is that it's easier to cut out lots and lots of small luxuries rather than the big ones.
Like the coffees from the coffee shop
The coffees from the coffee shop, the brand of food that one purchases, maybe the grocery store that one goes to as opposed to others. I find it's easy, or the number of dinners out, for example, that people might go on and try and bring that down, rather have people around to yours for dinner rather than going out for dinner. So if you've got a big goal in mind, and the step then to improve and increase the savings, in general, it's easier to cut out the smaller things rather than sell the car and take the bus, for example. You know, which is
there's lots of little things here and there. It does add up in the end.
It does. But that's the general stuff. The two other things I wanted to say was, and I think Pat and Sue were a great testament to this. When Pat was saying earlier on, when they sold their first cot and realised the type of profit that could be made, and thought, actually, hang on a second, we could do something here where we buy 14 cots and sell them all for a profit.
Right.
It's a brilliant idea to think that if you're both working and you're looking for other ways to find out or generate more income, little business ideas like that, whether you're selling or trading on eBay or other types of trading sites, there are a number of different opportunities that you can do in your spare time to generate some extra income. And I think Pat and Sue were a really good example of, you know, a business that obviously it has grown over the years substantially, but you can start small by creating different ways by generating more revenue. Because to have more savings, you either make more money or you cut down your costs, or you combine the two. And there are always different ways that if viewers listening to this could think, well, actually, maybe there is things that we could do. Maybe there are things sitting in our house now that we could actually sell for a profit. Yeah. And the last thing I want to say is children. And what I mean by that is kids are expensive. And every parent listening to this would be thinking, you're damn right they are, Jonathan, they are. And I, from a very, very young age, from personal experience, I was always taught the value of money. And for the time I was 7 years of age, if I wanted money, if I needed money for something, I had to earn it.
Oh, wow, that's good.
It was.
No wonder he's like this today.
Do you know what? And I thank my parents dearly for it. I used to wash my parents' cars. They had one car each. I used to wash them both for $5 because I grew up in Australia. So let's just call it £5. And then when I was old enough to use a lawnmower, I'd mow the lawns for extra as well. But when I was 9, the summer had just hit Sydney, and I wanted to buy a new surfboard, right? And the surfboard I wanted was $130, which for a 9-year-old, that's a lot of money. And I did my sums, and I realised if I washed Mum and Dad's car every week, I'd earn $10 a week. And by the time I had $130, the summer would be over. Aww. So in my little high-pitched voice at the time, I went up to my father and I said, Dad, how can I get out of this? You know, I need more money. What can I do? And he said, well, son, why don't you take your bucket, take your sponge, take your chamois, and walk around the neighbourhood and knock on people's doors and offer to wash their car for them. But rather than charge them $5, like I pay you, charge them $10. So I was 9, and it was my first ever day of being a businessman, right? I was very, very lucky, but it was hilarious because my next door neighbour happened to be having a large Sunday lunch with a number of his friends. Oh, gosh, and as I walked in, that was the first client I knocked on the door of, and there I was with my little bucket, and he happened to be the chairman of a very well-known Australian wine company, and he was about 3 hours into his lunch. So when I knocked on the door with my little voice and I said, hi, Mr. Such and Such, would you like your car washed? He said, hang on a second, walked into the dining room and said, who wants their car washed? And everyone put their hand up. Customers. And there were 15 cars in the driveway. And I literally, on day one, made $150. The poor guests had to wait. The poor guests had to wait about 4 hours for their cars because there was one little guy, you know, scrubbing away. But
it was worth it.
But then every other weekend after that, I had my little car washing business, and it just grew from there. My point being, as a parent, the majority of where your extra income goes when you have children is on them.
Yeah.
And as we heard tonight from Pat, Sue, and Nikki, Pat and Sue encouraged Nikki to go out and be who she wants to be, but at the same time would have taught her, I'm sure, the value of what hard work means and what it earns. And if you can get your kids to really believe that, because that is life, as we know, that is true. If you can get children from a young age to actually learn what money is and the value of money and how you should go out and earn it and work hard and ideally think about doing it for yourself as an entrepreneur,
why not?
It'll save you a lot of money as a family if your kids are doing what they can for themselves.
That's brilliant. Jonathan, thank you so much. Excellent advice as usual.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we have reached the end of the show. Thank you so much. But now let's have our surprise performance singing a cover of Happy by Pharrell Williams.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm clapping along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm clapping along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm clapping along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm clapping along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm clapping along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm clapping along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. My level's too high, bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. My level's too high.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for inviting us down today. I've had a really great afternoon, and morning rather. Oh, shut up, let me start again, sorry. Sorry. I'm not telling you to shut up, by the way, I was telling myself to shut up.
Sorry.
All right.